Israelites saw Moses, they were afraid to approach him because of the radiance of the skin on his face. Only when Moses called to them did Aaron and the leaders of the community come near, and then Moses spoke to them. Later, all the Israelites gathered around, and Moses gave them the instructions he had received from the Holy One on Mount Sinai. When he finished speaking to them, Moses put a veil over his face. When Moses entered the presence of God, he would remove the veil until he came out again. And when he would come out, he held the Israelites had been commanded, and they would see that skin on his face. Then with the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with God. Our second reading is from Luke. Jesus told Peter, John, and James and went up onto a mountain to pray. While Jesus was praying, his face changed in appearance, and the clothes he wore became dazzling white. Suddenly, two people were there talking with Jesus, Moses and Elijah. They appeared in glory and spoke of the prophecy that Jesus was about to fulfill in Jerusalem. Peter and the others had already fallen into a deep sleep, but awakening, they saw Jesus in glory and the two people who were standing next to him. When the two were leaving, Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, how good it is for us to be here. Let's set up 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Peter didn't really know what he was saying. While Peter was speaking, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and the disciples grew fearful as the others entered it. Then from the cloud came a voice which said, "This is my own, my chosen one. Listen to him." When the voice finished speaking, they saw no one but Jesus standing there. The disciples kept quiet, telling nothing of what they had seen at that time to anyone.
Our reading from Luke continues. The following day, when they came down the mountain, a large crowd awaited Jesus. A man stepped out of the crowd and said, "Teacher, please come and look at my son, my only child." A demon seizes him, and he screams and throws him into convulsions until he foams at the mouth. It releases my boy with difficulty. He does, he's exhausted. I begged your disciples to cast it out, but they couldn't. Jesus said in reply, "You unbelieving and perverse generation, how much longer must I be among you and up with you? Bring my child to me." And then they approached. The demon dashed the child to the ground and threw him into a violent convulsion. But Jesus reprimanded the unclean spirit, healed the child, and returned him to his father. All present were awestruck at the greatness of God. Ancient from our tradition for our present day understanding things with God. Let us pray. He trod incarnate word, spirit of faith and doth enlarge, expand all living souls to comprehend your love, and help all to see your will with wiser power conferred, O God, grant yet more light and truth to break forth from your word. Amen. When I was a little boy, my dad would bounce me on his knee and say, "The Grand Old Duke of York, he sent 1,000 men, he marched them up the hill, and then he marched them down again. Because when you're up, you're up. And when you're down, you're down. And when you're only halfway up, you're neither up nor down." And on the ups, he me high up his head, and on the deck he'd take me down near the floor, and it was fun. And I was remembering that nursery rhyme this week because this gospel story of Jesus and the disciples going up the hill and then marching down again. And it got me thinking that sometimes it seems like there are two kinds of ways of living Christian faith. Maybe this is true in other faiths too, but I've definitely noticed it in Christianity. In the terms of the story, I think that there are up the mountain Christians and down the mountain Christians. In Godly Play, after we tell the children a story, we ask them, I wonder if you are in the story, or what part of the story was especially about you. Those of us who are up the mountain Christians see ourselves in the first part of the story. We reach the need for quiet, contemplative prayer time that brings Jesus up to the mountaintop in the first place. We value that intentional stillness of the spiritual experience, so still that the disciples even find themselves falling asleep. Remind me of when I first started working here, and Carla Haringer taught yoga here in the sanctuary, and at the end of class, I do my favorite yoga pose, Shavasana, or corpse pose. And those of you who are laughing at what corpse pose is in yoga, what happens is you lie down flat on your backs, and for us, Carla would come around and make sure we had blankets and pillows and that we were cozy and comfortable, and it was very calming and relaxing and meditative, and I'd lie to you if I told you that I do usually fall asleep here on the sanctuary platform. Because that was Shavasana, that was meditation, it's stillness. And so, we really blame the disciples for falling asleep. They woke up, and they saw their friend and teacher, Jesus, transfigured. And we, up the mountain folks, we did that in a way. Maybe we've had our own transcendent experiences of seeing the world through new eyes, perceiving the world anew so that even a dusty, tired, itinerant preacher seems to radiate light. And maybe all the powerful presence of our spiritual forebears with us, a great cloud of witnesses, just as James and John and Peter, Moses, the giver of law, and Elijah, the prophet who didn't die but was consumed in heaven in a whirlwind. They're with him in this profound spiritual moment. And even though we know it's sort of silly, we often folks, we get Peter's idea of building tents there on the mountaintop. He was all experiencing something so special and powerful that he wanted to preserve it. Who can blame him? I've heard people here at St. Andrews say that they want to bottle up the feeling and then they get it at church to get them through the week. And people who said that are definitely the mountain folks. Another thing in Godly Play that we do when we talk about people like Abraham and Noah and Jesus in direct contact with the biblical narrative, sort of cup our hands over the figures in the story. And we say, Noah came so close to God, and God came so close to Noah, that Noah knew what God wanted him to do. And something like that happens to the disciple on the mountaintop. They're overcome by the presence of God that surrounds them like a heavy cloud. Some of us up mountain people get that too. We've had those mountaintop moments, a profound spiritual experience, a sense of close contact with the transcendent, the newness, the divine, moments of awe and wonder. Maybe for you it was a yoga retreat, or looking around at the candle faces on church on Christmas Eve. Maybe it was while you were practicing ecstatic dance, or going to a live performance of a beautiful piece of music. Maybe it was looking out over the Grand Canyon. I don't know what it is for you. Only you know. What I do know is that those of us who are up the mountain types really value those spiritual, contemplative aspects of the life of faith. And then there are those of us around the mountain folks. When we wonder, I wonder where you were in the story, what part of the story is especially about you, the answer is that we are in this part of the story, following Jesus back down the mountain to tend to the needs of the world. We are the ones who are all too aware of the crush of people, all of whom have needs and griefs and anxieties and wounds that need to be tended to urgently. We know what it is like to face down the needs of the world. We know what it is to have someone before us asking for justice or mercy or compassion or peace, and to know deep in our bones that it is our purpose in the world to help. We may not have the miraculous powers of Jesus, but we know the powerful feeling we get will make a difference. When we help someone who needs it, when we stop the voices of those voices often go unheard, when we make a dent in the armor of white supremacy or patriarchy or queerphobia or classism. Some of us are down the mountain people. We're the cult of the world, doing everything we can to answer it. We know that urgent need to make a difference. Jesus back down the mountain and into the throng of people. We need to make a difference. And we can look around St. Andrews and see many people who are doing that. Maybe for you, it's volunteering here on Thursday nights, serving our homeless neighbors with the love and compassion and respect that they are too often denied in our society. Maybe it's making sure that you call your congressperson every time you get an action, because you know how important it is. The voice of conscience, peace, and justice are in the halls of power. Maybe for you, it's giving sacrificially to a legal asylum seeker, which was a scholarship fund for homeless queer teens. Maybe it's serving as a clinic escort to accompany patients seeking an abortion past angry, hateful protesters. I don't know what it is for you, only you know that. What I do know is that those of us down the mountain types really value the aspects of the life of faith that involve the works of justice and peace. And when we read our gospel reading for today, it's easy to see where both of these ways of practicing Christianity show up. That reading from Luke is the appointed text for today in the Revised Common Lectionary, a 3-year cycle of reading that is shared by churches of all theological varieties all over the world. In the lectionary, there's always 2 readings from the scripture, from the Hebrew scriptures, which is the Psalm, and 2 from the Greek scriptures, one of which is always the Catechism. And both the readings we heard today are from the lectionary, and they are the standard Transfiguration Sunday, the standard Sunday for Ash Wednesday texts. But there's a funny and kind of unusual thing about the way the lectionary lists the gospel text for today. Lection for today is Luke 9, 20 through 36, parentheses, 37 through 43. Read verses 28 through 36 is the main theme, the thrust of what we normally think of as the Transfiguration story. And then I read verses 37 through 40, which the lectionary refers as sort of an optional add-on. And that's the thing they don't usually do. They don't give that optional extension of a passage they're suggesting. Quickly looked at the table of reading for this year in the lectionary, and there are only 2 other instances of this phenomenon. Remember, 4 readings a week, or 52 weeks, plus holidays. I'm sure that the lectionary people, they're wise, and they had their reasons for this choice. But I wonder about it. I was researching the sermon, and from what I read, it looked like scholars mostly tend to view this story as an integrated whole. The idea that the mountain experience of transfiguration and the healing miracle at the bottom of the mountain are one cohesive narrative unit. It's important that we tell that whole story. It's easy if we just tell part of the story, just the part that you worked on to read, to make it sound like up the mountain Christianity in a way to express faith. And it's easy if we tell the second story, the part that I read, to get it sound like down the mountain Christianity is the essence of Christianity. But we tell the whole story, when Jesus up and down the mountain, we see that both are essential parts of the faith. We hear that following the way of Jesus Christ means spiritual renewal and transformation, taking opportunities for contemplative and ecstatic union and deep relationship with the ground of all being. We perceive that following the way of Jesus Christ equally means seeking opportunities to meet the needs of the world, to be the ones we've been waiting for, to be activists and organizers and helpers and givers and doers, to join God in God's work transforming the world for good. When we tell the whole story, we understand that there aren't up the mountain disciples, down the mountain disciples, it's the same folks who they along. Faithful life in Christ means that even if we're naturally more comfortable as up the mountain or down the mountain folks, we follow the risen Christ up and down and back up and back down, all around that darn mountain. Our lives of faith, when lived beautifully, most creative, most faithful and obediently, are the lives of up the mountain Christians and down the mountain Christians. The grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men, he marched them up the hill and then he marched them down again. And so then we tell the whole story again. And we live it again. And we tell it again. And we live it again. And we tell it again. And swear in the midst of following Jesus up and down that mountain, we get the truth in this story. The spiritual life that we tend to do on top of that mountain is not in reality from the real world work of justice and peace that we tend to at the base of the mountain. And the work of justice and peace that we do once we've come down from the mountain, in fact, isn't very easy to distinguish our spiritual lives. Look back at our text again. When does Jesus appear in his transfigured state? Moses and Elijah. On one hand, they are sure figures. Moses came so close to God that his face was radiant when he'd come back. Elijah was a prophet, the one who went to a cave and listened for God in a whirlwind and the earthquake as fire, and eventually heard God in the still, small voice. So they are spiritual figures. Moses was also one who did liberation of God's people from oppression and Egypt, who led them out of bondage and slavery into freedom. And Elijah, the prophet, his prophetic career was characterized by his opposition to the wicked, violent, greedy reign of King Ahab, liberating slaves, ending oppression, organizing the resistance against the corrupt leader. That sounds like bottom of the mountain work, doesn't it? Speaking of the mountain, what about that healing miracle that characterizes it? Sometimes our modern sensibilities, we have tendency to right past talk demon possession gospels. Because on this side of the scientific revolution, we think that we are smarter and better informed than ancient sources like Luke. We think Luke, poor guy, just didn't know what epilepsy was. And so bless his heart, he had to rely on superstitions about demons possessing little kids. But maybe Luke was something that our scientific minds plus science. That tending to the needs of the world is taking seriously the spiritual dimension of the problems we're faced with. Now, I want to be clear that I don't think that having a seizure disorder means that you're possessed by demons. But I do think that if we're going to do what needs to be done to get every child and adult in this country adequate health care, we're going to have to address the spiritual realities of greed and selfishness, make people think that socialized medicine is one of the evils of our time. spiritual work. Those are spiritual problems. Address that is tough mental work. It's going to take radiant Jesus and a cloud of divine presence for us to get what we need to change values, the spirituality of our world. Because we do our work in the world well if we don't recognize it as a spiritual practice. And I think we're reaching our spiritual depths if we understand spirituality as easily divorced from work for justice and peace. We do here worship, our hymn, our ritual, our silent contemplation, our individual and collective spirituality, they are deeply political. They're not just fuel for the work of justice that we do when we leave this place. They are at their best works of justice and decency embody in the sanctuary, in our personal prayer time, as much as anywhere else that we find ourselves. And our work in the world, our labors every day to live lives of justice, compassion, and peace, whatever that looks like for you, that is deeply spiritual. It is the task of embodying God's transforming love in radical, often surprising ways. Some of you know that before I went to seminary and working in churches, I was a professional community organizer. And some of my churchy friends think that I talk about justice too much. And some of my justice friends think that I talk about God too much. And some of my friends inside the church and outside of it say that I talk about God and about justice too much. And I hope that what they're not telling me, I hope that they don't mean I talk too much. Because the thing is, I don't know the difference between talking about justice and talking about God. I don't know how to be on top of the mountain in the profound spiritual presence of my sibling Savior, Jesus Christ, without also being on the bottom with those that he loved deeply and came to save. I aspire to see the face of that same Christ in every one of my citizens on this earth that I meet, and to recognize each person's Savior dignity. The grand old Duke of York had 10,000 men. He marched them uphill and then marched down again. When you're up, when you're down, you're down. When you're only halfway up, you're neither up nor down. It's a fun narrative. I like it when I was a kid. But in the life of faith, when you're up, you're down. And when you're down, you're up.